Is it recording?
It is recorded.
Yeah. Recording. All right, so I'll call this meeting.
Mute on television. I don't know what that means.
I think that'd be good. We're fine. Can everybody share the city council meeting before we get started? A
Yes,
thumbs up?
here.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
I'll call this meeting to order of the Ways and Means Committee. I'm chairing tonight. So I'll do the call to order at 6 p.m. and we'll do roll call. Let's see, Councilor Bullock is not going to be here tonight. Councilor Bottomley, I'm here. Councilor Citizens
Here.
Councilor Williams.
Here.
Councilor Webb.
Here.
And we have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? And we'll have public comment. If anyone is in the room, they can sign up. Otherwise, raise your hand if you have public comment online. I don't.
Somebody's hand is up.
Oh. Yes. So, Michael, just tell us where you live and you have 3 minutes.
And he has to unmute.
And unmute, please. I need to get the time.
It's unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Now we
Oh,
can.
now we can.
Okay. So I'll make it quick if I can. Okay, last meeting, this committee voted unanimously to recommend to the full council the budget which the mayor brought forward. It was a unanimous vote. However, at the end of the meeting, the chair said we will deliberate next meeting. So which is it? If you're going to deliberate tonight on anything, I would hope that everything is said tonight and there's no curveballs tomorrow at full council. So if anybody on this committee that has anything that they want to amend in this budget, I would hope that it gets discussed tonight so the public can comment on it at public comment before you people discuss it. And quickly, as far as what Donna Dussel sent regarding the chapter, whatever it is, if you folks vote on that, it would create a mess. Christy Moore had many options brought to her as far as filling that position part-time. However, it was for her, it was all or nothing at all. And I know the mayor gave her options part-time. I think that this has been put to bed. And quite frankly, her behavior at the last meeting was embarrassing. No other department head would behave that way. And that in itself is well, it's just awful the way that went down. And she went on for however long that this program's been going. It's been going successfully with part-time staff. So I, as a taxpayer, I don't believe that it should even be pursued. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. There's no public hearing tonight. I thought I'd move through, we'll just follow on the agenda under motions. I'm just gonna follow the agenda, which says we're continuing fiscal year 2027 operating budget deliberations and recommendations. I know we voted on the items that are listed on their last meeting, but it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of discussion, so I just wanted to leave it open in case anyone had any questions or anything left related to fiscal year 27 budget. Because if any recommendations we should have from council if we want to amend anything. Or leave it as is, but he is right, we did vote on these, but anyway, I wanted to leave it open it up for discussion if we have any questions left or, yeah.
I have a question. So the money for GSET, that was recommended by the mayor's office, that amount?
I do not remember that discussion.
You mean the amended amount? Like what was
I'm
amended?
looking at appropriate $2,202,201 for the fiscal year 2027 Greenfield Community Energy and GSET Enterprise Fund.
Yeah, that was recommended.
That was recommended. Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Yeah, I felt like I don't know, I guess my understanding of our vote was like, we have to vote and then we have to vote 15 more times before we do something. So I didn't process it as that was the vote.
Yeah, I mean, in the way we've usually done it before, once we're done hearing all the departments, then we deliberate on what our recommendation would be from Ways and Means.
Right.
But we voted yes. And I think she said, but it could change. So I mean, I can't speak to what that means, but normally if anyone wants to make any changes or amendments to the budget, we would put that forward here.
Right.
So that's why it was just a little confusing. So I thought maybe, and since it's still on the agenda, maybe I just thought it would be better to leave it open if we wanted to have any discussion.
That's the only question I had.
Yeah, the only, we talked about it too, was just like making sure salaries were correct if we're trying to really shore up our numbers. And then there was discrepancy between the mayor and Chief Dodge about the 6,000 in building maintenance, whether it could stay or go. So I didn't know if that was worth asking Dodge to make sure where it could be. Otherwise, that's all. Because there's central maintenance money for police for building, and then there's also building maintenance in the police budget.
It's a tough one. Usually we don't, when we enter into deliberations, we don't ask questions anymore, but it might be worth
That's
asking.
what
We have questions of department heads or,
but part of deliberation is clarification. So there's a clarification question
okay.
that
So
perhaps
if
the mayor can answer.
wants to clarify that, or Stephen.
Yeah. Even that, 6,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I just know at our first Ways and Means meeting, he said he would agree that makes sense to move it over. And then,
To move it from central to him to central maintenance.
right,
Okay.
and then I just wanted to
Yeah.
double check, because if we're moving that money over, there is police money dedicated already. So do they need that full amount or, yeah, just to make, yeah,
Yeah, I'd have to find out.
Yeah.
And, I could find that early tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah, that feels
Okay.
really, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And then I know, I watched the Public Safety Commission. It looks like y'all are gonna get together and fix Munis, which we love, which is great. Thank you for taking the time to do that. Yeah, and then I think Dodge corrected the salaries already, so. Great.
So yeah, we'll get an answer back on that. And so are we okay with our original vote?
Thanks, so.
So yeah, that's it for questions.
And thank you for just taking a little extra time to.
Yes,
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not 100% sure how we'll go through this. There's been different ways councils have gone through it in the city council. Sometimes they've actually done the budget book where you have the summary and you go down every single department and basically say any concerns for the whole council, yes or no. And that was sort of our way of approving each
Yeah.
one, but it could also be bring considerations forward. It's kind of tedious that way. So, and I'm not sure. And I've not talked to Councilor Bullock about that. Yeah, she's going to go forward.
But
Go ahead.
all the department heads will be there tomorrow night.
I don't think they're usually all there, are they?
A lot of them are online.
Okay.
Not everybody comes in person, but most of them are paid attention. Most have someone online.
They'll be available to answer questions.
So we will get essentially a chance to ask most department heads things tomorrow.
But it'll be stated that we're recommending
Right.
Right.
a yes on the budget as a whole,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, for the record, I want that clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
And I mean, inevitably, there are always questions because
Oh, sure.
not everyone watches every Ways and Means.
Right.
I mean, it'd be nice if people watched a lot of them, but it's just impossible. So there's always questions that come up.
Plot's pretty boring.
Yeah, so I think that's great. That is our motions, which we already voted on. So we'll move on to the community preservation budget. And we have the chair.
Madam Morgath, with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Oh, okay.
And thank you for your work on this, because to start out, I wanted to say, like, it's so helpful the way the descriptions are listed. The amount of outreach you do is unbelievable.
We've been trying.
Like, there's so many opportunities for people to speak and then finding other ways online. And I think it's really good. I just haven't thoroughly read it, but I mean, like the survey results, it's really interesting. We can ask general questions. I also, the way this is listed, I think we'll just go down each one because the very first one listed is the total of all of them. So it seems kind of weird to vote on that first.
I'm happy to.
Or we can leave one, but I thought we'd go through each one.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that.
That'd be nice.
Can I just say something to the question that was brought up before? This budget is separate from the mayor's budget. So that we're doing it tonight is important because it is a separate budget. Okay, that's my one little response.
One, let me see which. That or 40. I'm looking for the actual. The one that has all the listings. Is that the one that starts with?
Yeah, I loved every single chart. If anybody takes anything away from this year on Ways and Means, is that I love a chart.
You can thank Travis Drury for helping us start that process, and then we use it every year.
It's really great.
It's great having an engineer on the commission.
All right, yeah, I guess, why don't we go by what's on page, I think it's 56, which has all of yours. Because these are all different orders for everything. So I think maybe we'll just start with what you had in your packet, which starts with Greenfield City Clerk, the preservation of historic documents.
Yeah. Okay, this is one of those responding to an unfunded mandate. The state requires that the city maintain records in perpetuity. We have a lot of old records that are falling apart, and the clerk's office is required to maintain them, but there is no money to maintain them. And since under our historic preservation, this is under our historic preservation category. And what this is a special copier that allows the clerk's office to actually put books in such a way that we will not break spines, and we will not do all of those kinds of things, and maintain digitally all the information and all the procedure. Quinn brought in a book that, I mean, she put on her white gloves, she opened it up, and it was like, this thing is going to fall apart if we don't do something about it. And there are a lot of those, and we've been in there to see. So that's what this is for. It's for preserving our records as a town, going back, to the earliest records that we have.
Any questions? So this is only partial coverage of it, right? Or does this cover the machine?
It covers the machine. It does
Oh,
not,
okay.
it does not cover the labor. It covers the machine.
But they had originally requested this in the budget capital request. And now it's here, so.
Okay, I don't know about that. What I do know is that, it's perfectly within our purview and we voted unanimously to support it.
Sounds like a needed good thing. Any more comments on that? Franklin County Co-op, former Wilson's Building facade restoration, 60,000.
Right. They asked for double that. This is for the co-op section of the building. So it's the bottom section that is now having all of the facade taken off and the work that they're doing. This does not cover the whole thing. There are 120,000 didn't cover the whole thing. But in addition to historic tax credits and some other things, this 60,000 helps fill the gap. And again, it's under our historic preservation category. And but one of the things we require is that this maintain, that we are required to keep this as a historic building forever. So it is under our requirements that this is historic and it must be preserved historically. They've also got requirements from the National Park Service and others that are going to be dealing with this. But this is part of our requirement that it has to be historically preserved.
Does that apply to the whole building or just that?
It's that section. It does not, but the whole building there's been a lot of work done on the whole building around this, but this is specific to the section, the first floor and that area.
Do you have more specifics on what that means, just out of curiosity?
Or I can look it up. I've got all the proposals here. I came prepared. Okay, I mean, there's. You asked.
I know,
You're gonna hear.
Okay, I can give this to you. This is the plan for doing the work. But basically what it comes down to is that there's, the entrance, the doors and windows, the caulking and adhesive, the board assemblies, the exterior painting, all of that is part of the work that they have to do and has to be historically correct. So it's the work here includes a specific project manager just to do the historic facade.
Wow.
To make sure. So it's a very complicated process to do this. Our money just adds a little bit to the cost on this, but if you'd like to see the budget, I've got it right here.
Yeah. Preserving character downtown.
Okay. I'm ready for the next one.
Any more questions on that one or what's the next one? The Museum of Our Industrial Heritage, Greenfield Tap and Die Historic Paintings Preservation, 24,600.
This is really fun. When the Tool and Die closed, they had 11 paintings that were put together of working people in the Tool and Die over the course of that building's existence. And they offered them to the museum. The problem is they've all been sitting in that building for the last 30 or 40 years, and they needed preservation. And so what we're paying for is to get them out of their frames, get them preserved. The museum went through, found a preservation organization and got this figure as being the correct figure to do this work. There actually are 13 paintings, 2 of them the Historical Society has. And one of the things they've talked about is probably once they're preserved and ready to go, also having an exhibit, not only at the museum, but also in the library.
Nice.
But they're great paintings. They're kind of your classic, describe them. commercial art at that, in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s, they're really beautiful pieces. Very bright, very, very attractive.
Any questions on that? Rural Development, Inc., 176 Main Street, affordable housing, 50,000.
Right. This is for pre-development work for the housing that will be going in 156 to 178, I think, Maine. It's that area where Moldavite Dreams is, that whole section. And there will be 32 units of housing going in there. 8 of them will be kind of garden apartments in the back of the building. And the rest of them will be, basically, they're going to be having to take down that building and put up a new building. The building there used to be 4 stories tall. And a couple of the stories were taken down. So this will, in some ways, be, it'll be a modern building, but it will be putting the historic, it'll be putting it in the historical way that it was during when it was first built. And what we're paying for are things like architectural plans and that kind of stuff. And that's what the $50,000 is for. We had sent a year ago, we gave them another $50,000 as part of that pre-development process.
Is the goal to match that design to like the historic preservation kind of vibe, or?
I don't know that it's going to be directly, it won't clash. I don't know that it's going to be, historical.
Ultra modern.
It's not all, no, but it's, what we believe is that we need housing so desperately in town. And this is, by the way, this is all affordable, and this will all have some level of accessibility. Some of it will be fully accessible. Some of it will be partially accessible, and that it will not necessarily, but it will all be wheelchair accessible. So there will be, and it goes up 4 floors.
Excellent.
And how are you defining affordable?
Affordable is defined by the HUD numbers that we are required to use, so that based on the area median income, these will be 60% of the area median income or lower. So a family, I don't have the numbers in my head for this, but a family of 4, the area median income for a family of 4 is about 109,000 at 100%. So we can, so you can go back, take $40,000 off. So and a family of 4 that is at $60,000 or lower for income would be eligible to be living in this housing. And there are going to be family apartments. There'll also be some apartments for single people and for couples.
That's it.
That's it, unless you've got questions.
Let's move on to Greenfield Housing Authority Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund, 30,000.
Right. This is for people who have Section 8 housing. Section 8 allows people to go on, allows lower income people to go on to the market rate property market and be able to compete with people who can afford the full freight on the rent. The federal government will pay 70%, they pay 30%. One of the things that happens, though, because it's on its market rate, it's in the market, these are private landlords, and they can ask for a deposit, they can ask for first and last month's, they can ask for last month's rent, and they can ask for a security deposit. Often people lower income, while they can pay their rent on a regular basis, don't have the savings for the security deposit or last month's rent up front. And the problem is that they could probably get it if they went to see their family and their friends and pull that all together. But by that time, they probably will have lost the apartment to someone who can say, yes, I'll pay. So this is an effort to give them the flexibility that people who are more means. And what it would do is just, and it's being managed by the Housing Authority as part of their Section 8 program. And it would just be And we already gave them money last year to do this. And they've begun that process, and they kind of waited on last year's money until they had a system that they felt would really work. And since then, we got 3 families. And last time I talked to anyone about this, there were 3 families that had come in on the last money, but they're advertising it, so it's going to be something but the money will move quickly.
I have a question. So if a family is granted this money, is that a grant? Is it a loan?
It is a grant.
It is a
It is
grant, no
It is-
payback.
There's no payback. It's not a revolving fund.
Okay, thank you.
Does it affect their income levels?
No,
So in theory, when they move out, they keep the security deposit?
well, the security deposit would go back to the fund.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because that's it's a security deposit.
Yeah.
But the last
Great.
month, so
Yeah.
that would go back to the fund.
Sweet.
And you said about, do you know how many, this was started last year?
We started it last year. My recollection, the last time I talked with Jack Redmond about this, is that we had 3 families that had taken advantage of it thus far, and that was $15,000. So we've gone through, my guess is somewhere close to a third to a half of the money at this point, knowing what rents are right now.
So what happens if that money isn't used? Does it,
It stays,
Stays
actually,
in
it
that
stays
fund,
it stays in the CPA account. So
okay,
they have to send us a bill and we pay the bill. Okay, so it stays, so if for some reason that was not used, it would just go back into our fund. And we would use it for something else at another year.
And there's only been 3, you said 3 families have used it so far this year.
That's
And
right.
that's because, is that just because 3 have
We,
reached out, or?
this was a question of the Greenfield Housing Authority wanted to make sure they had all their systems in place for this. And they didn't want to advertise it until they knew everything was in place. And so they started advertising earlier this spring. And so since that time, this has come through. Also, the GHA now has its full complement of Section 8 certificates again. There was a, you don't want to know. There was a process with the federal government where we did not have our full complement. We have them now. So it's also the ability to be able to do it properly.
any more questions? The Greenfield Conservation Commission, Greenfield Conservation Fund, 20,000.
Yeah, the Conservation Commission asked that we could grant them some money so that they could respond quickly when land becomes available. Things like getting a survey done, these things have to be done quickly or they could lose the land. So we are giving them $20,000 to be able to do that. That money, they will send us a bill. That money will go into their conservation fund. And it will be available whenever they need it to be able to move forward. And it means that they don't have to, for instance, go to council to get to go through the process, which would take long and which would also cause them to lose the land that they might be offered by a private party.
So this enables the Conservation Commission to claim open land quickly.
Yes, quicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other question I have, do they currently have money in a fund?
They have a small amount of money in the fund. That's my understanding. It's not a lot, like $5,000.
Okay. Any more questions on that?
That can only be used to procure open space.
Yes, they have to report to us. It must be for a CPA appropriate reason. They can't use it just generally.
So curious, does that stay in the CPA until it's used, or is this transferred?
This will be transferred.
Okay.
We had a whole discussion about that.
Are we ready to move on? Greenfield Department of Planning, Miller's Meadow, 20,000.
Yeah. Miller's Meadow, for those who don't call it Miller's Meadow, is the area where the trailer park was that got flooded.
Oh,
That that the city made a deal with, I can't remember which department it was, but anyway, that money, that area would become only used, would not be used for anything that had standing bodies in it. So it can't be used for housing, it can't be used for, it can only be used for a conservation recreation purpose. This money will allow for there to be work done on the land so that it can be used recreationally, be used for making paths, that will be used for possibly, there's discussion about putting in a fishing dock at the end of where the area is right now. So but it'll be used for that kind of a thing, to make it available and more accessible to people in the community.
And just to clarify, it can't be used for other things because it's floodplain?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Moving on, Greenfield Recreation Department, Beacon Field Enhancements, $8,730.
Yes, this is, I'm going to get this one out because suddenly I'm blanking on things. This is a small project that the Recreation Department is doing it's right, it will be near the bocce courts, and it will be we did this so quickly as I forgot. There'll be a small amount of equipment made available for, I can even show you what they are. This will be an effort to put a cornhole in cornhole program base, a chess table, and the ladder ball, which is a ball that kind of, I can't show you a picture of it. It's a game. It's a game. So these are games that will be put into the area next to where the bocce court is. And it's a small project, and the DPW will do the installation. So it's really paying for the equipment. Okay.
Sounds like a nice addition to that park.
Yeah. And the bocce courts are used much more than I ever thought they would be. So
Yeah,
It's some shady over there.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess any other questions? I mean, it was interesting looking, like, when I'm looking at the survey, do you remember how many people applied or responded to the survey?
several hundred. It was a couple hundred, I think. We usually get pretty good responses to the survey.
Because it's remarkable, your list is pretty close, the committee rank and the survey rank. It's,
Yeah, we had a couple of projects that we did not fund. We had we had one project that we were pretty much ready to fund, but then they backed out because the rules that we require were not something that they wanted to meet. It was a historic project, and they felt that it was but they didn't want to go that route, so they let us know and we took it off the plan.
and how many years has this been in existence now? Is this?
We're in our 5th year, we're in our 4th year of funding. The first year we organized ourselves, made our review process, just to give you an idea. Every project, we have a rating system that we use for every single project, which is the 2-page rating system. And we have very specific questions that we ask everybody. We do a pre-application that comes to us in September, that allows us to make sure that everybody, both the writers and we, know that this meets qualifications for a CPA. The CPA law is quirky. And we often have situations where we go, well, this is a really nice project, but we can't do it. And that happens on a pretty regular basis. And what we do is there's a state coalition. We contact that state coalition and say, can we do this? Because it doesn't quite fit. And generally that because we're talking about physical changes in buildings for the most part, but also the things like the clerk's office, things, we have to know that this fits within the category. And the category, it's pretty specific in terms of what the CPA will allow or will not allow. But for instance, we can't put anything on private land unless it's deeded to the city in some way. And it has to be open to the public. So, you could have a lovely project that's a playground behind a private community nonprofit. And it's a wonderful project. But unless it is open to the public in general, we can't allow it. And unless land is going to be specifically used in perpetuity for that purpose, we can't do it. So for instance, the GHA has an area of a playground area at Oak Courts. And they came to us for more equipment. We had to ask them if there was any chance at all that they would be using that land for more housing later on. They couldn't promise us that that was not the case. It had to then be deeded essentially to the rec department as recreation, and it had to be open to everybody. They could meet some of those qualifications, they couldn't meet others. So we had to say no.
Another clarifying point for people in general, I remember when we came up to vote on this in council, whether to adopt it, at least for me, one of the big selling points was there's this extra tax, but we get matching dollars from the state,
Correct.
which was really important because it's another way to get more funds to come in here for us to do these things. And it varies though every
Year,
right?
yeah, it's based on, it's actually based on the fees that the Registrar of Deeds gets for the registration of transfer of housing, of other buildings, that kind of stuff. And there's a percentage of that goes to CPA communities. Every community in the state is not a CPA community. And then the question is, are we a 1% town or a 3% town? And depending on whether we tax ourselves at a 1% level or up to a 3% level, the amount we get is different. Our law is that we tax ourselves at 1% above $100,000 valuation of a property. So if your house is worth $200,000, it's taxed. The extra tax for the CPA is only on the second 100,000. The first 100,000 is just your regular, whatever you're paying for your regular assessment.
So how much of the 243,000 is Greenfield tax dollars?
I don't have that number in front of me, but it would probably be, it's probably 218,000 of Greenfield tax dollars and $30,000 or $20,000 from the state. Because it's divided up among the number of CPA communities. So the more communities that come on, the more the same amount of money has to be stretched. And so every year we find out what the amount is in October.
And it's like any council or something like every town can just decide to become one.
Yeah, it's a process. You have to, the council, in our case, the council voted on it, and then there was a citywide vote.
Okay. Thanks for the background.
No problem. Okay.
The other thing I heard from people, sorry, this is like
Sure, no
quiz
problem.
hour,
No
but
problem.
just to clarify for everybody this is new to, like floating out there is conflict of interest, but I wanted you, if you could talk about the makeup of the committee is geared towards specific sectors,
Yes.
just to sort of clarify some of that.
By law, I'm going to look at my list of people just so I make sure that I get everybody. By law, we are required to have someone from the Conservation Commission, someone from the Historic Commission, someone from the Housing Authority, and someone from the Recreation Commission on this body. And then also, there are people like me who were appointed by the council, and there are people that are appointed by the mayor. We have a total of 9 members, so that and I can tell you who is from, and the planning board. I forgot that, and the planning board. So there are 5 city bodies that are represented out of the 9 people on this committee. And that's required by the ordinance that was written. And also by the CPA law, though it's a little more vague so that each town can make it relate to what they call things and things like that.
Any more questions?
Question?
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Again, the committee really is thorough in its evaluation every year, so appreciate your.
We try to do a good job because it's tax money and we understand that people should have the right to know. By the way, we are excited about Councillor Bolduc's idea of doing a community-wide event next spring
fair.
for all the commissions.
Yeah.
We really are looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, so we can go through and vote on these one at a time. Again, there's different ways to do this. I've always felt that we don't necessarily have to read the order in here, that we can just use what's on the agenda and say appropriate. And I believe that the official Roberts rules that we have to read these in the full city council. But we've usually in the past just done the appropriation and vote our recommendation. Since we're just voting a recommendation.
So it's on page 51, they're all listed as one to vote.
Oh, so they're doing it okay, that's.
Page 50.
He's already ahead of you.
Yay, that makes it a lot easier. So I guess it's all there. If someone wants to read that, maybe we'll do that just for that order.
Your number fiscal year 26-122, when we're talking about it. The city council, upon recommendation of Mayor DeSorger, move that it be ordered that the city council approves the appropriation of $243,330 from the Community Preservation Act funding for the following projects. 1, Greenfield City Clerk, Preservation of Historic City Documents, $30,000. Franklin Community Cooperative, former Wilson's Building facade restoration, $60,000. Museum of Our Industrial Heritage, Greenfield Tap and Die Historic Paintings Preservation, $24,600. Rural Development Inc., 176 Main Street Affordable Housing, $50,000. Greenfield Housing Authority Security Deposit and Rental Assistance Fund, $30,000. Greenfield Conservation Commission, Greenfield Conservation Fund, $20,000. Greenfield Department of Planning, Miller's Meadow, $20,000. Greenfield Recreation Department, Beaconfield Enhancements, $8,730. Majority vote required.
So moved.
Second, anyone? A second?
Second.
Great. Any more discussion on these or all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's a unanimous positive recommendation.
Yes, it is.
Do we need to recommend again the full budget or we?
No, I think we're good. If anyone has any other comments, but that looks like there's no discussion at this time besides what was listed. The next meeting is Tuesday, July 7th, 2026, 6:30 p.m. at City Hall. And I guess I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Goodness. Yes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's the shortest meeting of the century.
Wow.